Hello, everyone. My name is Connor Turco, and I'm going to be talking to you today about Einstein for Flow. I'm really excited to be here and have this TDX session to be able to talk about this exciting new generative AI product at Salesforce. So before we get started, it would not be a Salesforce presentation if we didn't have our forward-looking statement. So please be aware that we will be talking about things on our roadmap that aren't currently generally available in the product. So please make sure you make all of your purchasing decisions based off of what is available in the product today. My name's Connor Turco. I'm joined today by my colleague Vera, who's a PM on our AI research team, and Eduardo, who is a pilot customer in our Einstein for Flow pilot. So I will let them introduce themselves during their portion of the presentation, but we're also excited to be able to talk to you today about this exciting product. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you all for being here. It takes a lot to build a product like this, and so it's so great that we have such an amazing turnout for you all to hear about it. So before we dive in, I'll go into a quick agenda. To start off, I'll give a quick overview of what Einstein for Flow is, and I'll give a brief demo as well. Then I will pass it off to Vera, who will talk about what goes into building an AI product like this behind the scenes. Then Eduardo will talk about his experience using Einstein for Flow as a pilot customer, and I'll wrap up by giving you a roadmap and telling you the exciting new features that we plan to add in the future. So first off, what is Einstein for Flow? Einstein for Flow allows admins to generate flows with natural language prompts. You no longer need to start from a blank canvas. You can simply tell Einstein what you want to build and watch it magically appear on the screen. Right now, Einstein for Flow is in our closed pilot. We will be generally available in the summer release, and we'll be adding support for custom objects and custom fields at that time as well. And I'll dive a little bit more into the additional features we'll be adding during the roadmap portion of this presentation. So we built Einstein for Flow for two main user groups. The first being small to medium-sized businesses. A lot of the admins in these businesses don't necessarily know how to use Flow and all of its complexity, and they're trying to learn how to use our product. With Einstein for Flow, it makes it much easier for these users to learn Flow and quickly build flows without having to learn all of that complexity. For our enterprise admins that are building more complex flows, we give them the ability to not have to start completely from scratch. Instead of having to start from a blank canvas, they're given a nice starting point where they can then iterate and continue to modify that flow that Einstein generated. So we've had some great feedback so far through our pilot. The main three pieces are here on the screen, but the first thing that we've learned is that this really jumpstarts the flow building process for our customers. They no longer have to start from scratch. They have a starting point that they can build their flows off of. It also helps to enforce best practices in flow building. A lot of times we as humans, when we're building flows, don't follow all of these best practices. Vera will explain this a little bit more during her portion of the presentation, but we've trained the AI model on flows that follow these best practices. So you can rest assured that the flows that are generated with Einstein will follow these best practices as well. And lastly, building with Einstein for Flow is an iterative process. Our customers are constantly tweaking the AI prompts that they use to generate these flows to get the best output. They're then modifying the flows after they've been generated by adding elements, modifying what Einstein did, or removing things. So this whole process is very iterative. It's not a one-stop shop where you just generate your flow and it's all done. There's always a human in the loop, and this human is always needing to make iterations and tweaks to what Einstein generates. So I'll dive into a quick demo real quick so you can actually look at how the product looks today. So we start at the setup screen, just like we would if we were generating any other flow. and we can click Create Flow. And once Einstein for Flow is enabled in your org, you'll notice on the left side here that there's this text entry box where you can enter a prompt for Einstein. So I'll enter in a prompt here that says I want to create a screen flow that collects opportunity information and then uses that information to create a new opportunity record. And in a few seconds here, we'll see the flow that Einstein generated. You'll notice at this top, there is a banner that says this flow was created by generative AI. And in the bottom right corner, we have this docked composer with a feedback component. We ask all of our users to provide feedback on whether they liked or disliked this flow, and we use that feedback to improve the model further. But let's take a look and see if this flow that Einstein generated is correct. So you'll notice right off the bat, it did generate a screen flow. And if I go into this first element, it takes in all of the fields that I asked it to. Then, in this next element, it takes that input from the user and uses that to create a new opportunity record, just like I asked. From here, you can treat this like any other flow. You can add elements, you can modify elements, you can save and eventually deploy the flow as well. So now I will pass it on to Vera, who will talk about how this works behind the scenes and what it took to train an AI model like this.
Thank you, Connor. Hello, Trailblazers. Hey, I know it's lunchtime, so trying to bring in some energy here. My name is Vera Vetter, and I'm a director of product here at Salesforce AI Research. And today, we'll embark on an exciting journey through the world of generative AI and large language models, also known as LLMs. And even more importantly, we'll discuss how we are leveraging these technologies to supercharge flow. Now, over the past few months, year, generative AI and large language models have become arguably the biggest buzzwords out there, right? Okay, just for fun, let's do a quick poll. Raise your hand if you have heard terms generative AI and LLMs more times than you can count over the past few months. Hands up, hands up. Okay, look around yourself. For those who don't have their hands up, wait till the end of the TDX, you're gonna get there. All right, now hand up again if despite all the buzz, generative AI still feels like a black box. Perhaps a magical one, mysterious nonetheless. Okay, a few of us out there. It goes without saying that generative AI and LLMs don't really raise an eyebrow for many of us anymore. However, these incredible technologies that can generate text, code, images with impeccable precision are still somewhat obscure. The how of them actually creating these assets is still a black box, is still hard to uncover and comprehend for many of us. So today, our aim is to at least partially demystify this and to see how we here at Salesforce are taking advantage of generative AI and LLMs to power Einstein for Flow. Let's dive in. But first, I'll take a step back and mention that Salesforce is not new to AI. We have been spearheading AI innovation for close to a decade. We definitely recognize the unmatched potential of LLMs. And when we built our proprietary in-house large language models here at AI Research, we strive to align with our gold standard ethical AI and trust standards, so that the Salesforce tailor-made AI solutions are at the level and at the bar you folks would expect. A testament to our dedication is CodeGen. This is our in-house large language model that was built at Salesforce AI Research. And guess what? It is also the very powerhouse behind Einstein for Flow. Now, why do these technical details matter? Why am I telling you about CodeGen? The thing is this. A few slides back, Connor revealed a critical insight that came out of our pilot program. AI-generated flows can inherently enforce best flow building practices. Now, this is crucial, because what it means is that Einstein for Flow can be not just a tool, but a mentor. Okay, great. But how does it get there? How does Gen AI get there? How would CodeGen even know about flows? The answer is by leveraging high-quality data set created to cover diverse business scenarios. This is the data that would teach CodeGen about flow, about all the nuances and intricacies of what CRM workflows might entail, so that every AI-generated flows produced by CodeGen would adhere to the standards of efficiency and effectiveness you would expect from a flow expert. The path, the secret to this quality lies in the unparalleled expertise of humans, of our flow experts. And in fact, let me use this opportunity to give a huge shout out to all of the flow experts, MVPs, Flownatics. I know a few of you are in this room who are a part of this expert group. These experts, and yes, let's give them a round of applause. They definitely deserve it. These experts, such as Andrew and Leah, who, by the way, real people, not some imaginary personas, and many of you might actually know Andrew, they meticulously craft flow data. They create it from scratch and validate it. And as they do so, they infuse every piece of flow training data, the data that is subsequently used to teach CodeGen. They infuse it with their best practices, so with their hands-on experience. And let me show you how they do it. First, we create what is known to be a prompt. Essentially, it describes a business automation requirement, as well as a type of a flow, a type of a trigger that would launch a flow, as well as a subsequent action. After that, the prompt is assigned to a flow expert who would create an actual flow, and we instruct our flow experts to follow best practices. For instance, here you see that a flow contains a fault path. After that, we go ahead and extract flow metadata from the flow training units, from the flow data created. And here is a fun fact for all of you, my fellow flow nerds out there. The team actually created our own flows to monitor for newly created flow data and extract this data. So speaking of Salesforce on Salesforce, right? All right. After that, we move to the most exciting part. This is the process of rigorous review, validation, and improvement. Here, our experts provide feedback on each other's work. They literally review each other's flow training units, that's how we call them, and they provide feedback. They grade each other's work. So for example, here you see Leah reviewed those flow training units and made some suggestions on how they may be improved further, and she also graded them. It is truly through this collaborative approach that we elevate the overall quality of the data. We ensure that every piece of information, every piece of knowledge about flows that goes into CodeGen, our model, is of the top-notch quality. Through this, CodeGen learns the art and the science of flow building. I should also mention that we also regularly retrain CodeGen with the new training data so that it stays abreast of the new best practices, of the new learnings from the field, and it keeps getting better, as Connor was saying. This way, when you are ready to craft your flow, you can simply enter your automation requirement in plain English. Einstein for Flow will pass your request to CodeGen to interpret and to generate data. And here I'll actually make a pause and tell you a bit more of what is happening behind the scenes. We know that flows can get complex and intricate, right? That's why we have introduced a technique called chain of thought. What happens is that we break flow down into manageable parts. And we create each of these segments one by one. And then we merge the segments together into a cohesive flow. This technique ensures that the flow generated by AI accurately mirrors your automation requirements. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, with that, we create a temporary flow structure, and we use deterministic methods to produce metadata, and boom. The flow is ready for you to review, refine, and deploy. Now, just to conclude my part, I want to say that when it comes to generative AI and LLMs and how we treat those techniques, those technologies here at Salesforce, our approach goes beyond technological innovation. It is truly about encapsulating best practices, fostering trust, and ultimately enabling you, our trailblazers, to excel. And with that, it's my absolute pleasure to welcome our incredible trailblazer and pilot customer participant, Eduardo Guzman from Pittman Industrial.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you very much, everyone, and hello. Again, my name is Eduardo, and I'm here with Pittman Industrial. First of all, I would like to say that I'm very thankful and also excited to be here as my first time attending TDX. And today, I will be showing you a little bit about my experience on using Einstein for Flow and how it has helped us, or our business as well. First, I would like to start with an introduction about myself and also my personal background, my Salesforce background, and what we do as a company. Again, my name is Eduardo Guzman. I was born in Mexico City and moved to Birmingham, Alabama in 2012. It wasn't until my first internship in 2017 when I got first introduced into Salesforce. And then I retook my Salesforce journey in 2023 with Pittman Industrial. Here at Pittman, we are a manufacturer's representative in the metalworking industry. We have over 5 decades of experience with providing those manufacturers with an optimized selling experience. And we do so by focusing on relationships as the core of our model. We work closely with our distribution channels and also our end users. And to accomplish that, we have been using Salesforce for the last 13 years to keep track of those key deals or opportunities. We also use it to engage with leads from trade shows. And we also use it to drive activity with those new accounts and also existing accounts. We use it to keep track of sales or as a sales reporting tool. And we also track and schedule service cases using the old Salesforce. One thing or one key ingredient that I didn't mention in this list is one thing that we're working towards with, and that is more automation. When I first say the word automation, what is the first thing that comes to mind? If you're speaking Salesforce, flows would be the right answer. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my experience before I started using Einstein for Flow. If I'm being very honest with you, I was very, very new to starting with flows. I often had to seek help by reaching out to success guides, reading articles, or watching tutorials on YouTube. Even then, I came up with some debugging errors myself that took time to fix. And also, I had issues selecting the right element, resource, component to better optimize that flow for what we were trying to achieve. All of that led me to a higher build time for me to launch a new flow. It was approximately about 60 minutes. Now, I did mention more automation. Automation lets us do or accomplish more with less. And here's what I'm a hard believer when I hear the phrase, sometimes it is best to work smarter and not harder. The reason for that, or where I'm going with this, is after A-Flow. My experience after using A-Flow really puts those two dots together, automation and working smarter, not harder. And what I realized after using this pilot is that, well, it is really easy for everyone to build a flow. When I say anyone, I really mean anyone. You only need to learn how to type a few sentences, have a use case for that, and it will come up with a result. It also has very few errors or incomplete flows compared to when I used to build it myself. And if that is the case, at the very least, it lays out the entire structure of the flow for you. And it is way easier to start working with something that is already there than having to come up with that yourself. I'm sure some of you can agree. So benefits that we noticed with this, of course, was an increase in productivity. Again, we were trying to accomplish more with less. And our goal was to remove those tedious tasks that either nobody wants to do or nobody has the time to do them. Those administrative tasks, they take time. And it also helps us lay out a better quality sales process for our organization. We drive more customer interaction that way, and we do get an increase in revenue. So let me show you a quick example on how I use Flow to solve one key problem that we had for our team or for our organization, and the results that it generated. So let me go back to the first slide when I show you the map. If you notice on the map, every single color on this represents one guy working that whole territory. It can be a lot. It's easy for them to follow up on, or to forget to follow up on some key deals or opportunities. So this is what that was the use case for this specific prompt. The prompt says, create a flow that triggers every time a new opportunity is created. I'm asking one thing. The flow must create a task assigned to the opportunity owner. So that's the second. And the task must include follow-up on opportunity as the subject. Third, it must be due 2 weeks before the opportunity close date. So really, very simple. Really didn't have to go overboard with a description of the prompt. And really, it took me 5 minutes to come up with a use case and type it. Now, the results that Einstein generated was this. It triggers when a record is created, in this case, an opportunity, got it right. It returns the value for the activity date 2 days or 2 weeks before the opportunity close date. It assigns that to the opportunity owner, puts the subject that I asked, and it also links that to the specific record that I wanted. No mistakes, no debugging. Really, it took me from 60 minutes to build some sort of similar flow like this one to just a matter of 3 minutes. Really, 3 minutes, all it takes is to write that sentence, click enter, and get those results. So from there, it's really easy to just modify the generated flow and really custom that to your liking. You can add scheduled paths, you can add or replicate more actions. And in this case, I just replicated it for 3 times, or three use cases in this one. So with this being said, we do have plans to implement about 20 to 30 new flows by the end of 2024, similar to the one that we just saw. The reason for that is because we want to cut down 25% of those administrative tasks for our salespeople that are always traveling between state lines, that are always on the road, and they may not have enough time to accomplish those tasks. And it all can be done. These are all things that can be done in the background with flows. And in my experience, I have used it, and I keep planning on using it as a learning tool. As I mentioned before, I'm really new to flows, and this was a really great mentor for me to see the best practices and how to build one. And it not only lays out the structure for me, but it tells me what I need to learn too. So what's next? I'll go ahead and pass it over to Connor. He'll go ahead and talk about more about the roadmap that we have for this pilot and also the next stages. Thank you very much for the time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eduardo. It's always great to hear about our pilot customers' experiences with Einstein for Flow. So really quickly, I want to dive into our roadmap and what we anticipate to come in the next few releases with Einstein for Flow. So I'll start off with a prototype of how Einstein for Flow will look in the future. So starting out, you'll see we have this new and improved flow creation modal. If you remember from the demo that I gave earlier, we had a really small text box where you could enter your prompt for Einstein for Flow. To improve the user experience for our customers, we now have this new flow modal with a larger text box to improve the Einstein for Flow experience. You'll also notice at the top of this modal that there are 4 example prompts. These are really useful for customers who are new to Einstein for Flow to give them an idea of how they can structure their prompts and follow best practices to get the best output for their flows. Once you generate a flow with Einstein, you'll notice in this future mockup that we have on the right side a Einstein Copilot side panel. Here, you can actually have a conversation with Einstein to continually modify your flow. So I'll enter in a natural language prompt here on how I want my flow modified. And you'll notice that Einstein makes those modifications and highlights them on the canvas with these visual green highlights. Additionally, in the conversation history, you'll also notice that it shows all of the changes that it made to the flow. From the conversation history, I can hit this Edit Action button, and it will take me to the inspector view where I can actually edit that element and continually make changes from there. So let's take a look at the roadmap going forward. In our upcoming summer release, we'll be going GA, and we'll add support for custom objects and custom fields. Right now, Einstein for Flow supports standard objects and standard fields, but during the summer release, we'll be adding this additional support. That new improved flow creation modal that I showed you earlier, that will also be coming during our summer release. And we'll also be releasing a few other UX enhancements, like the ability to view the original prompt that you typed in. In our winter release, we'll be releasing the ability to edit or modify your flow with natural language. So that new and improved Einstein Copilot side panel, that'll be coming in the winter release. And I showed you that change history. That is also going to be coming as well. We're also constantly working to improve the model. So you can expect with each release that the model will be able to handle more and more complex flows and use cases. In our spring release, we'll be adding the ability to modify any flow, including those that were not generated by Einstein initially, with natural language. So in that winter release, you're going to be able to modify only flows that were initially generated by Einstein. But in that spring release, you'll be able to make these natural language modifications on any flow, even those ones that have been in your org for a really long time. We're also going to add support to edit a prompt. So if you want to tweak your prompt to see if it generates a better output, you'll be able to do that in the spring release as well. And one of my most favorite features that I think is really exciting that we'll be bringing in the spring release is Einstein summarization. A huge pain point that many of our customers have talked to us about is that they have hundreds of flows in their org, and they have no idea what half of them do. With Einstein summarization, you can get a detailed summary of what each flow in your org does and ask Einstein questions about what your flow is doing so that you can understand what these flows that you've never seen before are doing. And just like with our winter release, we'll also be enhancing the model so that it handles even more complex flows as well. So that's all we have for you today. If you are interested in learning more about Einstein for Flow or just automation in general, we have a variety of great breakout sessions for you that are listed on the screen here. We also have a live Einstein for Flow demo in Platform Park, so we would encourage you to go check that out if you want to see how it works in action. feel free to go to Platform Park and check out our Flow Builder demo station. And then lastly, please, please, please take this survey for us. This survey gives us feedback on how we did on the session and helps us to make it better in the future. You can get a free coffee. I'm looking at the audience. It looks like some of you look a little tired, so please take the survey, get a free coffee on us, and help us improve this session in the future. But thank you all so much for coming. We're so excited to see you all hopefully using Einstein for Flow when we GA this summer. Have a great day.